Hey, welcome YouTubers back to Dre at Recovery One Drone. Out here today to do my first test of mapping. I'm going to be using the Drone Deploy software to do this. This is one of my reasons I got into drones itself, is to do mapping down the road. So this is my first endeavor. I'm going to do a solar array here close by my residence. It's about a 4-acre facility of solar panels out here. So I'm going to do a mapping of that, and then I have 3 other parks I have to go do this weekend for my actual job and do a mapping of that. So this is what my goal was when I got into drones, was using it in my work environment and hopefully later on as a consultant. One thing I always look at when I go out and fly is what's going to be the hazards that I have to deal with when I'm flying. And this is something that even if you're a hobbyist, or especially when you're a Part 107, or just anybody who goes out and fly, you got to be aware of what your hazards are that you're getting involved with. So one thing I want to look at here, I don't know if you can see with this camera or not, we have the high-powered transmission towers that run along the back side of this property. That's one of the worst things I look at. So no matter what I do, is I know I have to fly at a height above those poles to make sure I'm not going to have any interference, as far as hitting those or damaging my craft or damaging the poles themselves. So that's one of the first things you look at. Also on the street here, we have a light pole here, which is only about light poles run about 20-25 feet in the air themselves, but the high powered lines may run anywhere from additional 50 to maybe up to 80 feet above the ground. So that's always something you got to take into consideration, and don't think that you can actually be that precise in the flying that you're doing, because between what the maps you got to use when you're doing mapping and what's actually out here may differ. And that difference could be enough for you to have a incident involved with surrounding communities. Now we also do have a tree here, which is just above the height of the light poles, but they may not be as high as the power line poles over to the west of them. So that's also a factor, but should not be involved in my mapping process. But this is all the things you got to look at. I'm in an industrial park area, which is right across the railroad tracks where I live at. And so these are all the things you got to take in consideration when you're out flying, is all the hazards you may encounter. So if you got to adjust your flight pattern, or whatever the case may be, or just be aware of your situation. We call it situational awareness. These are the things that makes you and makes all of us better pilots when we pay attention. Now I know a lot of the talk has been about the most recent incident that occurred in Las Vegas. I'm not sure when it happened, but the results of it are all over the internet now, where the gentleman's been fined $20,000. This is something that a lot of us in the drone community have been dreadfully anticipating, that somebody's going to be the poster boy. And this individual who decided to do an extra flight down in the strip area of Las Vegas is now the poster boy of reckless drone operations. He was down the strip, which basically the strip is no more than a half a mile from the airport there. Lost control of the drone. The drone went off in addy mode. From the articles I've read, and ended up landing right on next to one of the takeoff runways at the airport. So you know this is going to be not just Las Vegas news, it is international news at this point. So everything that those who are against drone operations have just got their first piece of meat to chew on, to go ahead and push regulations. And you got local, I've been reading stories about local municipalities and agencies trying to control airspace, which they have no authority. But this is where the ball gets rolling. And next you know, it keeps rolling and keeps catching steam and catching everything else in its wake. And next you know, we have been regulated out of doing with something. For those of us who are Part 107, this is something part of an industry that should be growing. And now we have individuals trying to regulate it to the point that no one can fly at all. And what I see is that this, unless you're in some type of agency, government agency, that's the only way you're going to be able to fly. So basically it kills off the hobbyist side of the fence, unless you go to a sanctioned airfield, which is, I think there's one in the high desert where I live at. I've never been to it. But then it kind of like you're competing for airspace with other type of remote control aircraft. So we don't want to be regulated by a lot of the fixed wings have to do, and everybody's flying in the same spot and got to take turns to go fly. but we won't be able to have a good time to fly some of the natural areas around us, capture the natural beauty of where we live at. So I always encourage everyone, get out and fly, but fly safe and fly responsible.